Hello friends, my name is Simranjeet Kaur and I am working as assistant professor at Biyani Group of Colleges. Today I would like to discuss the communication process and the different barriers in the communication on behalf of Guru KPO. First of all, what is communication? Communication is the transfer of information from one person to another. We can exchange information, ideas, opinions, etc. to the other person. But while communicating these ideas and information, some kind of barriers may occur, some kind of disturbances may be there. These kind of disturbances are known as barriers. They often reduce the communication and hinder the communication process. There are different types of barriers. These are organizational barriers, physical barriers, language or semantic barriers, socio-psychological barriers. First of all, I'll discuss the organizational barriers. Organizational barriers are those barriers which occur due to the defects in the organization structure. These barriers can prove to be a big hindrance in the communication process, and the people in the organization will not be able to communicate that much effectively with the other people. In organizational barriers, first we have the long chain of command. Long chain of command is a big hindrance in the communication process. As we can see that there are many people working in the organization, but if the chain is very long, like if the top hierarchy wants to communicate with the people of the lower department, then they have to go through a particular process, and this process may take a long time. So in order to break this, the communication chain or the scalar chain should be short. It should not be very long, otherwise the message may get distorted and the communication process will be affected. Next are the poor spatial arrangements. Poor spatial arrangement means if there is any kind of problem in the arrangement of the furniture in the organization. Likewise, some people do not like the people working at their back, or they do not like to work too close to the other people. So there should be some space in between the people who are working together. Like the cabins should be arranged in such a way that it does not affect the working of the person within the organization. Moreover, their furniture should be arranged in such a way that the people are comfortable in their working environment. The third one is inappropriate medium. Inappropriate medium means if the medium is not right, like if we are talking to a people, we are addressing people of large group, then the appropriate medium should be used. We should use some kind of mic or loudspeaker, otherwise our voice will not be audible to the other people or to our audience. So it is very important to use the right medium. Like if we are addressing a small group of people, then a small room will be enough, but if we are addressing a large group of people, then we definitely need those aids which help us in the communication. The second one are the physical barriers. Physical barriers, as we can know that any kind of physical barriers, like if there is any kind of problem in the mechanical devices we are using, or any kind of media we are using, if there is any problem in that, then the physical barriers arise. Noise is one of the problem in the physical barriers. Noise can occur due to the mechanical disturbances or due to the machinery we are using at organizations. These can affect the listening of the people. So there should not be any kind of noise in the working environment, and it should be least so that people can work effectively. Distance is also one of the main problems. If the distance is very large, and like if a person wants to communicate with the employee and he does not have appropriate medium to communicate with that person, then the distance may be a problem for that person also. And the next one is information overload. When some kind of information is being given to the other person, to the receiver, and the information is overloaded, like he is being given excess of information and he is not able to grasp that information as quickly, then there will be information overload, and whatever the information is being conveyed, that will not be easily grasped by that person. So there should be a limited information that needs to be given at a particular time. Third one are the language or semantic barriers. Language barriers are the barriers which arise due to any problems in the language. It can be the person is not able to understand the language. Semantic barriers are the barriers which arise due to misunderstanding of the meanings of certain words when they are not clear to the other person, so these kind of barriers arise. First one is words with different meanings. As we all know that a certain word in English language or in any other language can have certain meanings, different meanings. So it is very important for the sender or for the person who is delivering the speech to be very clear what he wants to say. So he should use the appropriate words and the right words before the audience, so that the audience is also able to understand them well. Words with different meanings, and a word can have different meanings, so in whatever context he is speaking, it should be very much understandable to the receiver. Next are the denotations and connotations. Denotations means the actual meaning of the word. Actual meaning, the literal meaning of the word. These are the denotative meanings, like chair and speaker. These have the denotative meanings, like if we are saying chair, it means chair, and if we are saying speaker, it means speaker. So these are the denotative meanings, the literal meanings. But there are other words like connotations. Connotations means like happy, sad, pessimist, etc. These words have different meanings. Some meanings are taken in the positive context and some meaning are taken in the negative context. Positive context means happy, positive, etc. and the negative means sad, pessimist, etc. So connotations are different from the denotative meanings, and for example, there is a word cheap. Cheap can be taken both positively and the negatively. Positive in the sense, she has a cheap sweater. Cheap means, here cheap means not very expensive, she has a cheap sweater. But they are having very cheap mindset, it is having a negative meaning in this context. So these are the connotative meanings, means the meanings can be positive as well as negative. So they should be well understood by the audience, and it has to be made clear very properly by the conveyor. Next are the faulty translation. Sometimes what happens, that the person is delivering some kind of speech and the receiver is receiving it, but he is not able to translate it properly, he is not able to understand the meaning properly. So in that case there is a faulty translation and the message is not well received by the receiver. So these are all the language and the semantic barriers, and they should be avoided in order to make communication effective. Next are the socio-psychological barriers. Socio-psychological barriers means the psychological barriers and the social barriers which may arise in a day-to-day environment. First are the attitudes and opinions. Attitudes and opinions, these often can occur as barriers in the communication process. While speaking something, when the receiver is listening and he has a particular mindset and he has an attitude towards the other person that he is not saying right thing, then he will not be able to understand the message as well. So if he has a predefined attitude and he doesn't want to understand that thing, then he will not be able to get the clear message easily. Moreover, attitudes, like if a person is saying something and the receiver is not ready to receive the message, or he has a predefined set of notions and ideas, then also he will not be able to understand the message. Next are the emotions. Emotions also play a very big hindrance in the communication process. If a person is overly excited or nervous or very sad or ill-tempered, then he will not be able to get the message very well. So in order to receive the message well, he should have a full control over his emotions, and he should be able to devote himself to understanding the things. Premature evaluation. Premature evaluation is also a big hindrance, because whenever a person has already evaluated the person who is going to say something, or he has already evaluated or judged that person, then also he will not be able to understand the meaning. Poor retention. Poor retention is also a barrier. If something is being said or already said to that person and he is not able to get it in his mind or keep it in his mind, then also the barriers may arise. Next is the resistance to change. Some kind of messages need some kind of change, but if the receiver is not ready to accept the change, it can also act as a barrier. Now that we have already discussed the different communication barriers, now we will discuss the different solutions to those barriers, how these barriers can be removed. First of all, there should be continuous communication. Continuous communication helps in the flow of the different ideas and information from one person to another. If we are continuously communicating, then we will be able to make that person understand what we want to convey and what information we want to give. Next is the cooperation. Cooperation between the two people or a group of people is very important in order to make this communication process easy and understandable. The two people should cooperate with each other, and they should be able to make easy for the other person to understand the concept or the point of view. Next is the adequate size of scalar chain. As we already discussed, if the scalar chain is too long, then it hinders the communication process. So the scalar chain should not be very long, and it should be adequate enough so that the people can easily communicate with each other without loss of time and energy. Use of 7 C's. 7 C's are very important in the communication process. Means clear, concise, complete, concrete, coherent, etc. These 7 C's should be adopted so that the communication process has a good flow in it. Meaningful, clear and brief message. Brief message, the messages should be very brief, and it should not be very too long or very brief. They should be adequate, and so that the message is properly interpreted by the receiver. Good working conditions are also very important in making the communication process a hit. So the working conditions like good furniture arrangement or proper availability of the right media should be there, so that the communication process can go along well both with the receiver and the sender. Thank you for watching the video. If you have liked the video, please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel Guru KPO. Thank you very much.